The Nolan trilogy was over, but to great critical success for the most part, except for that final chapter that left some people with a sour taste in their mouth. Then we stepped into what I like to call the Affleck Era. Yes, Ben Affleck as the Batman. Now, riding high on the success of the Christopher Nolan trilogy, Warner Brothers looked at what they could do next. And they decided to bring back Superman, the Man of Steel. Zack Snyder came in to direct, and Christopher Nolan was on the film as a producer. They were hoping to recapture the magic of the Batman trilogy in the form of Superman. Thusly, this didn't come to pass. Superman made a decent enough profit at the cinema when it came out, but for Warner Brother, it wasn't enough. Yes, they were looking at Marvel producing films like Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man at the time, that were making the sort of money that this Superman film made. One of DC's flagship characters, and it could only draw in the amount of money that essentially C-list characters from the Marvel comic pantheon would take with their films. So again, Warner Brother were somewhat upset with these take-ins. So they decided, what should we do next? They wanted to capitalise on the Marvel fandom. They wanted to capitalise on what Marvel had been doing with a massive shared universe. So they decided to step in, and instead of giving us a Man of Steel 2, which would have been the logical choice, they decided to give us Batman vs Superman, which was released on March the 25th of 2016. With a budget of $250 million and a worldwide gross of $874 million. But again, they weren't interested in that sort of take-ins. Now, what had happened was, and a little bit of theorising from myself here, is that obviously Man of Steel failed, right? And they lost faith. Warner Brothers lost faith in Superman. And we have seen this time and time again, and everywhere we see it. Superman is pretty much an outdated character that's difficult to bring into the cynical world in which we now live. Batman is far easier to bring in. So Warner Brothers, in their bright mind, looked at what they were doing, and they said, okay, well, we can't do a Superman 2 because we're probably looking at less returns on it than what we got on the first one. So what can we do? And they came up with this plan to bring Batman into the fold, because Batman was their ace card, their character. Their last Batman trilogy made them so much money, they wanted this again. So they cast Ben Affleck in the role of Bruce Wayne, Batman, and they decided to do a Batman versus Superman film. Yes, so, and that's what we got. Now, this film would take from two very famous comic book series, right? In 1993, we were given The Death of Superman. That would form part of this movie. And we were given, in the mid-80s, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. Now, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns took Batman from being the camp caped crusader to the Dark Knight. He introduced this element of darkness, roughness to this character that still sticks around today and has ingrained itself in society and everything Batman since. Yep, and 1989's Batman in itself turned and changed the way Batman was done as well. That gave us the darkness, hence why the two Joel Schumacher ones pretty much failed, because they turned to a lighter tone which wasn't wanted by audiences. But I digress. So yeah, so Batman vs Superman came based on these two fantastic famous comic book storylines. Now, Ben Affleck in the role, his first appearance as Batman, he was fantastic, right? This played more like a Batman film, it did. Superman had very few lines in the film. But Ben Affleck, he looked the part of Bruce Wayne. He looked Bruce Wayne-y. He gave us an older Bruce Wayne, a more mature Bruce Wayne, a Batman that had been around for near on a couple of decades, that was sort of world weary, worn out, but also he was big. He was big. Ben Affleck was big, and Batman in this is harsh. He's, you know, he throws people around. He brands people. He's a harsher Batman than what we've seen in any other iteration to date. Not only that, but the look of his outfit was based on Frank Miller's design for Batman with the massive big bat on the chest, and it looked fantastic. We were getting Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns on the screen. However, this film in its story wasn't particularly great because it was used as a way of introducing the Justice League. Warner Brothers didn't want to spend the time creating the universe. They just wanted to jump straight into it. And Zack Snyder was left in the director's chair trying to bring this together. Now, the director's cut version of this movie does go some way to repairing some of the problems within the film, but other problems not. You've wasted You've wasted two fantastic comic book storylines that could have formed their own films. In this film, you've wasted the Doomsday storyline, the death of Superman, and you've wasted the Dark Knight Returns storyline, which is pretty much unforgivable. However, me personally, I quite enjoy the film. I've got no issue with the film. It is dark. I do prefer the director's cut, and with the new Snyder Justice League, you get a lovely 3-part film series, and the Snyder Cut Justice League just adds to these films and gives this Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman some new depth, but we'll come into that in a minute. So anyway, Batman vs Superman, yes. So Ben Affleck, fantastic in the role. I did love his Batman. I loved his Bruce Wayne. I thought I don't think he was the best Batman, but he is very, very good and up there, high up, right? So on the August 5th of 2016, we would get to see Ben Affleck again don the cape and cowl, this time being in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Now, Suicide Squad came and it on a budget of 175 million and went on to make 742 million at the box office. Again, a fantastic result, a fantastic amount of money for any movie to make. Obviously, the film had a mauling because it's not the greatest of films. Some of the characters are good in it. Some of the characters do stand out. And Batman does appear for maybe 5-10 minutes in the film, if that. In a couple of scenes, one where he's taking down Harley Quinn on the top of Joker's car, and another where he beats up on Deadshot in front of Deadshot's daughter, nonetheless, which is somewhat a bit of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But nevertheless, Affleck was there in a sort of cameo role. But then Affleck would again don the cape and cowl for the Justice League, released on November the 17th of 2017, with an inflated budget of 300 million and a worldwide take of $658 million. Dreadful. Dreadful. This is DC's Avengers. This is, you know, the 3 flagship characters, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, with the Flash, with Aquaman, Cyborg, right? And this film failed miserably. Zack Snyder, who directed Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, Warner Brothers lost confidence with him, because even though Batman vs Superman earned $874 million, which is fantastic, Warner Brothers wanted more. They wanted it into the billion. They wanted that billion mark made, and you'd have thought that with Batman and Superman headlining on screen together that you would have got it, but you didn't. No, Marvel were raking in all the money at this point. Batman vs Superman, just stepping back, was actually even in line to be released on the same day as Marvel's Civil War, and Batman vs Superman stepped down and moved its position. They knew that they were in trouble up against Marvel. But anyway, the Justice League, because I digressed yet again. So the Justice League, we know that Zack Snyder was let go. He had some family issues with his daughter passing away. Very unfortunate chain of events. I feel sorry for the guy, totally. And Joss Whedon was brought in. Joss Whedon, who had recently directed 2 of the Avengers movies to great effect. and they thought, let's get him in, what can go wrong? But you've now got two completely different filmmakers, and Zack Snyder's got his vision, he's made the majority of this film, and Joss Whedon's brought in to finish the film off and put his little mark onto the movie and reshoot stuff, throwing the budget up, and so with advertising and that 300 million, it's got to be way more, and so this film is essentially a flop, a massive flop, and rightly so, because there were jokes put into the film. Batman just doesn't seem like Batman. There's you know, he's making jokes himself and he shouldn't have been. Just terrible movie, and a movie that I haven't rewatched for this because I don't really want to revisit the Justice League. However, there was huge uproar online. Yes, there was huge uproar, and eventually we did get, on March 18th of 2021, the Zack Snyder's Justice League, a re-edited, newly filmed, with newly filmed scenes, the Justice League, running at 4 hours and 2 minutes. And this film was fantastic. You know, night and day between Joss Whedon's Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Two completely different entities, even though they're the same film and they follow the same ABC sort of plot. You know, it could have just gone to be, oh, that's a little bit better. But no, it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. Ben Affleck, you know, he secured his place as Batman. You know, he was wonderful. And you know, this happened because people wanted it, because people shouted out for it. But not only that, because of the onset of HBO Max coming around. If HBO Max hadn't come around, we probably wouldn't have got this film made anyway. It would have gone. But now people are saying, restore the Snyderverse. They want Affleck back. They want to see more of Affleck. They want to see more of this world, and it would be fantastic. Ben Affleck was fantastic in this role, in my opinion. Yes, so before, or between Justice League and the Snyderverse Justice League, there was rumblings that there was going to be a solo Batman film starring Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck had written a script, Ben Affleck was going to be directing, and he's a wonderful filmmaker in himself, in his own right. He has written some wonderful films, he has directed, he's proven himself on both counts, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't going to happen. So instead, Warner Brothers moved in the direction of Matt Reeves's upcoming The Batman, which for me was unfortunate, because I would love to have seen a solo Ben Affleck Batman film. However, not all is lost, because Ben Affleck obviously is reprising the role of the Batman in the Flashpoint movie, or the Flash movie if you want to call it that. Yes, he's coming back along with Michael Keaton, and hopefully they will be sharing some scenes at the same time to give us Flashpoint. So, always not lost for Ben Affleck. But yeah, he was a wonderful, wonderful Batman. I really loved him, but I just think it's so unfortunate he didn't get the chance to shine in his own solo movie. But other than that, you know, he was very, very good, and I enjoyed his time in the Cape and Cow. Yeah, so the Affleck era was done, and we're stepping into the era of Matt Reeves. Now, in a future video, closer to the time of the release of Matt Reeves's Batman film, I'm going to be talking about the future of Batman, beyond Matt Reeves. What I see the problems are, what I see could happen, and it's all, again, speculation on my part. There's no proof to back this stuff up, but all very intriguing and interesting ideas nonetheless, because I think that Warner Brothers have kind of backed themselves into a corner. But that'll be on a later video. In the meantime, from here on, I will be looking at a statue tomorrow of a Ben Affleck inspired Batman. And I will be looking at some of the animated movies, The Mask of the Phantasm, this sort of a thing. I will be doing a ranking of the Batman films. And I'll be looking at some other bits as well. So please consider coming back for that. Hit the subscribe button. You know, that's the done thing. Hit the notification bell so you can keep apprised of my upcoming content. And also leave me a comment down below if you so wish. I do reply to all comments, so feel free. I'm inviting you to write something down below. Let me know if what I'm talking is utter crap. I really don't care. Let me know if you agree that Ben Affleck was a decent Batman. Yeah, it's AJ. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care all.